Okay, 2019 question number 2. So hope you have read and done this one. So I'll quickly go through with this, right? Question number 2. Western PLC is a publicly listed company that assembles domestic electrical goods, which it then sells to both wholesale and retail customers. They manufacture electrical goods and selling it to wholesalers as well as retailers. Rebounds management, this should be corrected as Western, right? So it is about Western PLC. Western's management was disappointed in the company's results for the year ended 31st December 2018. It means in 2018 they didn't have a very good year, right? Their performance was not so good in year 2018. They were not happy. In an attempt to improve the performance of the company, since the performance in 2018 was not so good, to improve the performance of the company, the following early measures were taken by Western PLC for the year ended 31st December 2019. Some measures have been taken in order to improve the performance. What are those measures? A national advertising campaign was undertaken. So they have undertaken an advertising campaign, national-wide advertising campaign was undertaken. Then rebates to all wholesale customers purchasing goods above set quantity levels were introduced. If the wholesalers or wholesale customers purchase above a certain threshold, then rebates, discounts were given. That is another step that they have taken. Then the third one, the assembly of certain lines ceased and was replaced by bought in completed products. This allowed reactive to dispose of the surplus plant, right? And they were able to dispose a surplus plant. So these are the 3 steps that they have taken. Western PLC summarized financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2019 are set out below. Financial information provided. Please give me a second. Right. Statement of profit and loss and statement of financial positions as at 31st December 2019 given. Below are some ratios calculated by Western PLC for the year ended 31st December 2018, means the previous year, and the calculated ratios they have given. Some other additional information also provided. Further information to be considered. First one, Western PLC receives 120,000 from the sale of plant that had a carrying amount of 80,000 at the date of its sales. What this point talking about? See here, right? In order to improve the performance, they have done what? They have disposed of surplus plant. යාලගාව තිබ්බ plant එකක් යාලා විකුණලා තියෙනවා. ඒ විකුණලා ලැබිච්ච අගය තමයි කීයක් කියන්නේද? 1,20,000ක් කියලා කියන්නේ. ඒ plant එකේ carrying amount එක 80,000. So they are, by disposing that plant, the extra plant, they were able to gain a profit of 40,000. අර වැඩිපුර තිබ්බ plant එක යාලා විකුණලා 40,000ක ලාභයක් අරගෙන තියෙනවා. That is an additional information given in the sum. Second one, The market price of Western PLC's shares throughout the year averaged 3.75 rupees each. The market price per share is given 3.75 rupees. Then third one, there were no issues or redemption of shares or loans during the year. Right? No issues or redemption of shares. Right? Shares වලට අලුතෙන් එකතු වෙලත් නැහැ. තියෙන shares අයින් වෙලත් නැහැ. Dividends paid during the year ended 31st December 2019 amounted to 90,000 rupees. Dividends paid during the current financial year is 90,000. Maintaining the same dividend paid in the year ended 31st December 2018. It means for year 2018 also, the dividends paid amount should be 90,000. එතකොට 2018 අවුරුද්දෙත් 90000ක ඩිවිඩන්ඩ් ගෙවලා තියෙනවා. 2019 අවුරුද්දෙත් 90000ක ඩිවිඩන්ඩ් ගෙවලා තියෙනවා. So these are the information that they have given. Required part A. Calculate ratios for the year ended 31st December 2019. Right, showing your workings for Western PLC equivalent to those provided above. It means, right, these ratios calculated for the year 2018. Now what we need to do? The same ratios need to be calculated for the year 2019. Right. Question number 1. So question number 2. Part A. Part A. First one. Return on year-end capital employed. Return on capital employed, ROCE. Right. ROCE. How can we calculate that? ROCE. Return on capital employed. You should know this one. How can we calculate return on capital employed? Return on capital employed. What needs to be divided by what? But profit before interest and tax. Right? Profit before interest and tax needs to be divided by what? Capital employed. Capital employed. And you should represent it as a percentage, so we need to multiply this by 100. So I'll take the 2018 figures here, 2018, and here we'll have 2019 figures. 2018 return on capital employed 28.1%. What it should be in 2019? What it should be in 2019? Profit before interest and tax. Right here, the statement of profit and loss is given. Profit for the year is there. Profit before tax figure is there. Apitona profit before tax, the profit before interest and tax. Profit before interest and tax. Poliviyadamai, baduviyadamai, dekama aduwenna kalin. Profit එක කීයක් තිබ්බද? That is what we need to the numerator. එහෙනම් කීයක් වෙන්න ඕනද? Interest expense is given separately as finance charges 20,000. 20,000 අඩු වුණාට පස්සේ තමයි ලක්ෂ 2යි කියලා කියන්නේ. එහෙනම් මේ පොලි වියදමත් අඩු වෙන්න කලින් profit එක කීයද? මේ 20000ත් අඩු වෙන්න කලින් profit එක කීයද? What it should be? What should be the profit before interest and tax? These are simple calculations. Please tell me. බදු හා පොලි පෙරලාභය කීයද? බදු වියදම පොලි වියදම අඩු වෙන්න කලින් කොච්චර profit එකක් තිබ්බද? Yes, that should be 220,000. 220,000. Profit before interest and tax 220,000. Divided by capital employed. How can we take capital employed? Capital employed. ගන්නේ කොහොමද? Capital employed යොදවපු ප්‍රාග්ධනය. එතකොට it can be in two forms. It can be either debt capital or equity capital. Equity capital නම් කීයද? 480,000. Debt capital නම් කීයද? Loan එකක් අරගෙන තියෙනවා ලක්ෂ 2ක. එහෙනම් in total what should be the capital employed? That should be 680,000. 680,000 into 100. What should be the rate in year 2019? 220 over 680. That should be 32.3%. 32.35%. 32.35%. Very well. Right. This is the primary profitability ratio that has improved. That is a good sign. So we have found the first one, ROCE, return on capital employed. Second one is what? Net asset turnover. Net asset turnover. Right? Net assets turnover. Net asset turnover. How can we calculate that? Net asset turnover එක ගන්නේ කොහොමද? What needs to be divided by what? Net asset turnover. කොහොමද? Right here, net asset turnover, usually when it associate with turnover, yes, correct. Sales over capital employed into 100. Sales over capital employed into 100. Total asset turnover කියලා තිබ්බනම් sales over total assets into 100. So here we have net assets turnover, sales over capital employed into 100. Right. What is the sales value? Revenue, that is 4 million. Revenue value is 4 million. Divided by capital employed. Earlier we have found the figure is 680,000. We need to express it as a percentage. So the net asset turnover should be what? Sorry, net asset turnover we are not expressing as a percentage, right? That need to be expressed in times. Turnover, inventory turnover again. Inventory turnover එක උනත් නැත්නම් receivable turnover, payable turnover. මේ turnover ඒවා පෙන්නන්නේ කොහමද? Times විදියට. වාර කීයක් කියන එක. So how many times? 5.88 times. 5.88 88 times. How it was in 2018? How it was in 2018? Net asset turnover. That is 4 times. That is 4 times. That also has improved, a good sign. Third one, gross profit margin. That is simple. GP margin. Gross profit margin equals gross profit over sales into 100. Gross profit value. Gross profit value is 550,000. 550,000 over sales 4 million into 100. It should be what? 13.75%. 13.75%. The previous year, GP margin was 17%. GP margin was 17%. See, there is a decrease in GP margin, but there is an improvement in ROCE. Right. This is due to what? There is a major impact on that. Sale of plant. Plant additional information impact ROCE GP margin again operation wise perform right. Fourth one. Net profit margin, but here they have specifically mentioned to consider the before tax figure. Before tax figure, net profit margin. NP margin. Usually we divide the net profit by sales, but here they specifically mentioned to consider what? Before tax figure. It means profit before tax needs to be divided by sales into 100. Profit before tax, that is directly given, the value is 200,000. The value is 200,000. 200,000 needs to be divided by 4 million into 100. What should be the percentage? That is 5%. 5%. In 2018, net profit margin was 6.3%. 6.3%. Fifth one. Current ratio. Current ratio equals what? These are very simple. Current assets divided by current liabilities. Current assets in the balance sheet, current assets. It is the sum of these two. It is the sum of these two. Current assets. 610,000. 610,000 divided by current liabilities, that is what? The sum of these three, that is 480,000. 480,000. So what should be the value? 610 over 480. 1.27 is to 1. 1.27 is to 1. 27 is to 1. In 2018, current ratio was 1.6 is to 1. 1.6 is to 1. Again, there is a decrease. Liquidity issue is there. Right. Sixth one. Closing inventory holding period. Closing inventory holding period. Inventory holding period. Inventory holding period. Right? We need the answer in days. We need the answer in days. So how can we find that? Right. Average inventory needs to be divided by what? Average inventory needs to be divided by cost of sales. Cost of sales. Right. So here we have given only one figure, right? Figures related to 2019 financial year. So we need to assume, right, the ending balance as the average. So here we have no options. We have to take the ending balance. Inventory ending balance is 250,000. 250,000. 250,000. Sorry. This need to be multiplied by 365. 365. If we need the answer in days. Average inventory 250,000. This needs to be divided by cost of sales. What should be the cost of sales? Here, that is 3.45 million. 3,450,000. The answer should be expressed in days, so we need to multiply it by 365. How many days? What is the inventory holding period? That should be 26.45 days. 26.45 days. 26.45 days. That's the hard time. 46 days. 46 days. There we can see an improvement. Right? There we can see an improvement. කලින් අපි දවස් 46ක් විකිණෙන්නේ නැතුව ඉන්වෙන්ටරි එක අපේ ස්ටෝර්ස් වල තියෙනවා. හැබැයි දැන් තියෙන්නේ දවස් 26ක් විතරයි. There is an improvement in performance. Seventh one, trade receivables collection period. Trade receivable collection period. How to calculate this one? Average trade receivables. Again, we need the answer in days. Average trade receivables needs to be divided by what? Credit sales. Credit sales. But here, under other additional information, they have nothing given. Right? Whether the whole revenue is generated through cash basis or credit basis. Nothing given. So we have to assume that the whole revenue is on credit basis. Million revenue million අපිට assume කරන්න වෙනවා ණයට විකුණුම් වලින් ආපු ඒවා. Additional information වල specifically කියලා තිබ්බනම් මෙන්න මේ ගාන විතරයි ණයට විකුණුම් වලින් ආවේ කියලා we need to consider that. But here it has not been, right? Such information has not been provided. So we need to assume 4 million sales, right, as credit sales. Credit sales, 4 million. Average trade receivables, what should be the amount? Trade receivables. Here we have trade receivables, 360,000. 360,000. 360 over 4 million into 365. 32.85 days. Right? 32.85 days. In year 2018, receivable collection period was 45 days. ඒකත් හොඳ දෙයක්ද නරක දෙයක්ද? හොඳ දෙයක්. අපේ නායකයෝගෙන් අපි සල්ලි ඉක්මනට කලෙක්ට් කරගන්න ඕනේ. කලින් අපිට නායකට විකුණලා ඒ සල්ලි කලෙක්ට් කරගන්න. නායකයෝගෙන් සල්ලි කලෙක්ට් කරගන්න දවස් 45ක් ගියා. දැන් යන්නේ දවස් කීයද? 32යි. Right? The company has become more efficient in collecting its receivables. Right? 8th one. Trade payables payment period. Trade payables payment period. Trade payables payment period equals what? Again, we need the answer in days. Remember, if it is in days, we are going like this. And if we need it in times, right? Inventory hold in turn or inventory turnover, trade receivables turnover, trade payable turnover. If it is as turnover, then the denominator and numerator should be interchanged. Right, here we need the answer in days. Trade payable payment period. Average trade payables needs to be divided by credit purchase. Credit purchase into 365. Into 365. Average trade payable. Trade payable, that is 430,000. 430,000. This needs to be divided by credit purchase. Cost of sales is given, but the breakdown of this has not been given. Make a breakdown එකක් දීලා නැහැ. Right? Breakdown එකක් දීලා නැහැ. Therefore, we need to assume, right? We have no other options than considering the total amount, 3.45 million. වෙනම මෙන්න මේකයි breakdown එක කියලා දුන්නා නම් එතනින් අපිට credit purchase එක ගන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි මේ ගාන එහෙම වෙනම breakdown එකක් තියලා නැහැ. So we have to take this whole amount, 3.45 million, into 365. 430 over this one into 365. That is 45.49. 45.49 days. In 2018, sorry. In 2018, it was 55 days. ඒක හොඳයි තනකයිද? ඒක නම් එච්චර හොඳ දෙයක් නෙවෙයි. අපිට යාල මාස දෙකක් දෙනවා නම් credit term එක, it is better to utilize all that, right? 60 days, the two-month period. So then we can better manage our cash. 9th one. Dividend yield. Dividend yield. dividend yield. How can we compute dividend yield? How can we compute dividend yield? That is what? Dividend per share needs to be divided by, right, share price. Dividend per share needs to be divided by share price. Share price. Right. Into 100. Dividend per share. Key. Dividend per share. How can we take that? Right? In the PNL, nothing to take, but in the state capital, yes, there is one particular information that we can refer to. But how we can take the dividend per share? Ek share, there are how many shares? 400,000 ordinary shares are there. ලක්ෂ 4ක සාමාන්‍ය කොටස් තියෙනවා. කීයක dividends ගෙවලද? Dividend per share ගන්නේ කොහමද? ගෙවපු dividend ගාන, ගෙවපු dividend amount එක බෙදන්න ඕන shares ගාන. Shares ගාන දන්නවා. That is 400,000. What is the dividend amount paid? That is given in the other additional information. That is 90,000 rupees. 90,000 rupees. So 90,000, oh, I will take it like this. 90,000 divided by 400,000. From that we can take the dividend per share. What is the share price? See here, the second point. Market price of Vestal PLC share throughout the year average 3.75 rupees each. The average share price is 3.75 rupees into 100. So what should be the answer here? 0.225 needs to be divided by 3.75. 6%. 6%. මේ company shares වල අපි invest කළොතින් අපිට dividends විදියට 100%ක් ලැබෙනවා. right? මේ company shares වල අපි invest කරොතින් අපිට ලාභාංශ විදියට 100%ක් ලැබෙනවා. 1000ක shares ගත්තොතින් අපිට කීයක් ලැබෙනවද? 60ක් ලැබෙනවා. right? ලක්ෂයක shares ගත්තොතින් අපිට 6000ක් ලැබෙනවා. 6% dividend yield. How it goes in 2018? 3.75%. Investors ලගේ පැත්තෙන් මොකද්ද? හොඳ දෙයක්ද නරක දෙයක්ද? හොඳ දෙයක්. Dividend yield එක වැඩි වෙනවා. Right. Investors බලන්නේ යාලා invest කරපු ගානට කොච්චරක් ලැබෙනවද කියලා. ඒ ලැබෙන percentage එක වැඩි වෙනවා. 6%. Last one, dividend cover. Dividend cover. Dividend cover. How can we take that? Dividend cover. Dividend cover එක ගන්න පුළුවන් කොහොමද? Dividend cover. Dividend cover. Earnings per share needs to be divided by what? Dividend per share. Earnings per share needs to be divided by dividend per share. Earnings per share key. What should be the earnings per share amount? Here, profit for the year is 150,000. This needs to be divided by the number of shares, which is 400,000. 150,000 divided by 400,000. There we can get earnings per share. This needs to be divided by dividend per share. Dividend for the year is 90,000. Number of shares 400,000. So what it should be? Dividend cover. Dividends given over share eකට dividends given over key ගුණයක් අපි earn කරනවා. 0.375 needs to, I will take it like this. 0.375 needs to be divided by 0.225. 0.375 divided by 0.225, that is 1.6 times. 1.6 times. 1.6 times. ඒ කියන්නේ අපි company එක 100ක profit හෙව්වොත් අපි company 100ක් earn කළොත් ඒකෙන් 160ක් dividend විදියට ගෙවනවා. 100ක් earn කළොත් ඒකෙන් 60ක් dividend විදියට ගෙවනවා කියන එක. Dividend cover. In 2018 it was 2 times. 2 times. 2 times. 2 times කියලා කියන්නේ 150. 100ක් earn කළොත් 50ක් dividend විදියට ගෙවනවා investors ට. Right? So these are the ratios that we need to compute as per this particular question. Right? So this is for 10 marks. The calculation is for 10 marks. 10 marks means within how many minutes you need to finish all these calculations? Within maximum within 15 minutes. විනාඩි 15ක් ඇතුළත ඔය workings ඔක්කොම calculations ඔක්කොම කරලා ඉවර කරන්න ඕන. Right? If it is for 10 marks. Right. So the calculation part is done. Then another 10 marks is given for what? Analyze the financial performance and position of Western PLC for the year ended 31st December 2019 compared to the previous year. Analyze the financial performance and position of Western PLC for the year ended 31st December 2019 compared to the previous year. So there I have given you a format. First, what? You need to give an introductory paragraph. Okay. This is what we are going to do. This is some of the background information. In 2018, their performance was poor. Therefore, they have taken several actions at the beginning of year 2019. So now in this report, we are going to analyze the performance in year 2019 compared to 2018. Right? So some kind of an introduction should be there. And then, right, I told you to categorize these ratios. We discussed 5 main types of ratios. What are those? Profitability ratios are there. Solvency ratios are there. Liquidity ratios are there. Investment ratios are there. And efficiency ratios are there. So here we have already computed 10 ratios. So let's divide them into those, let's put them into those 5 categories. ROC is coming under what? Profitability ratio. Net asset turnover, this is also can be regarded as a profitability ratio because it involves sales. GP margin, profitability ratio. NP margin, again a profitability ratio. What about this one? Current ratio, that is a liquidity ratio. Liquidity ratio. Right? Here, inventory holding period, trade receivable collection period, trade payable payment period. These are what? These are efficiency ratios. These are efficiency ratios. And here, dividend yield, dividend cover. Even we can take the EPS. These are what? Investment ratios. investment ratios. So then after the introductory paragraph, you can divide subheadings based on these categories. You can say about the profitability by referring to these ratios. You can comment on the liquidity of the company referring to these ratios. You can comment on the efficiency or about their working capital management based on these three efficiency ratios. And also you should be able to comment on the investment, right? For the potential and existing investors perspective, you can comment based on these investment ratios. And finally, the conclusion. Considering all of these things, this is our final conclusion, whether the company has improved or not. If it is improved, in which aspects? If it is not improved, so they need to further improve on which areas, right? So kind of a report you need to prepare. Right. So I will show you a model answer for this one, right? 2019 section number 2. And also when writing that report, so you need to consider these things. You need to consider these things. You need to have that overall understanding. In 2018, their performance was poor and they have taken some early measures. And these are the early measures that they have taken. They have sold the plant, and by selling that plant, they have earned a profit of 40,000, right? So these things also need to be included in your report. Right. So I will show you a sample answer for this one. See here. Analysis of the comparative financial performance and position of Western PLC for the year ended 31st December 2019. Right. So here it has not been divided into subheadings, but still, right, it has a very good flow. Let's go through this here, what it says. The first thing to notice about Western PLC's results is that ROCE has increased by 4.2 percentage points. ROCE has increased by 4.2 percentage points from 28.1% to 32.3%. This is how you need to write your report as well. On the face of it, this is impressive. ROCE කියලා කියන්නේ අපේ primary profitability ratio එක. ඒක වැඩි වෙලා කියලා කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? ගොඩක් හොඳ දෙයක්. Right? However, we have to take into account the fact that the capital employed has been reduced by the plant disposal and the net profit has been increased by the profit on disposal. එතකොට මේක මොකද්ද? plant එකක් dispose කරා කියලා කතාවක් තිබ්බනේ. plant එකක් dispose කරද්දී මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? අපි ගාව තිබ්බ non current assets මොනව වෙනවද? අඩු වෙනවා. අපි ගාව තියෙන non current assets අඩු වෙනවා කියලා කියන්නේ අපේ capital employed මොකක් වෙනවද? අඩු වෙනවා. Our capital employed will be reduced. right? එතකොට යට ඉන්න එක්කෙනා අඩු වුණාට පස්සේ මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? මේක ඉස්සෙල්ලා කතා කරා. යට ඉන්න එක්කෙනා denominator එක අඩු වෙද්දී ratio එක improve වෙනවා. right? ratio එක improve වෙනවා. ආයෙ මොකද්ද? plant එක විකුණන විතරක් නෙමෙයි ඒකෙන් profit එකක් ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා. profit එකක් එනවා කියලා කියන්නේ අපේ profit before interest and tax මොකක් වෙනවද? වැඩි වෙනවා. that will keep increasing, that will go up. එතකොට උඩ numerator එක වැඩි වෙනවා කියලා කියන්නේ මොකක් වෙනවද? අපේ ratio එක improve වෙනවා. බැලුබැල්මට improvement එකක් තමයි. හැබැයි මේකේ මූලික හේතුව මොකද්ද? What is the main reason? That plant disposal, right? That is how critical you need to analyze. Yes, there is an improvement in ROCE, but this improvement is mainly due to what? Mainly due to the disposal of the plant. That is what has been highlighted here. Right? So the ROCE, return on capital employed, has been inflated by this transaction, right? And we should look at what the ROCE would have been without the disposal. You can go for further analysis. A disposal එක උනේ නැත්තම් ROCE කීයද? ROCE කියලා කියන්නේ අපි කියන්නේ හැමදාම frequently ඊළඟ අවුරුද්දෙත් අපිට plant එක dispose කරන්න බෑනේ. ඒක මේ අවුරුද්දේ වෙච්ච විශේෂිත සිදුවීම. එතකොට මේ විශේෂිත සිදුවීම අයින් කරතින් ROCE කීයද? Taking out the effects of the disposal gives us the following ratios, right? एक effect අයින් කරාට පස්සේ ROCE එන්නේ කීයද? 23.7%. ඇත්තටම මොකද වෙලා තියෙන්නේ? plant disposal එක නිසා තමයි වැඩියෙන් පෙන්වන්නේ. ඒකේ impact එක අයින් කරොතින් ඇත්තටම මොකක් වෙලාද? අපේ ROCE අඩු වෙලා. Right? And what about net assets, right? Net assets turnover, these things, right? Net assets turnover and net profit margin. Also here they have calculated without the effect of that disposal, right? Excluding the impact of the disposal. The plant එක dispose කරන එකෙන් වෙන impact එක අයින් කරාට පස්සේ net asset turnover එක 5.3 times වෙනවා. Net profit margin becomes 4%, right? Comparing these ratios, so these are what then? These are profitability ratios. Comparing these ratios to those for the period ended 31st December 2018, we can see that ROCE has fallen, right? That is actually fallen. This fall has been occasioned by a fall in the net profit margin. The asset turnover has improved on the previous year even after adding back the disposal. So our comment based on these profitability ratios, right? Profitability ratios they have a low thing and it ඔක්කොම අඩු වෙලා improve වෙලා තියෙන එකම එක මොකක්ද? net asset turnover එක විතර. net asset turnover එක විතර. Right. The net profit margin can be analyzed in two factors, the gross profit margin and the level of expenses. The gross profit percentage is 3.2% down on the previous year. කලින් අවුරුද්දට වඩා 103.2කින් අඩු වෙනවා. This is probably due to the rebates offered to the wholesale customers, right? Additional information වල තිබ්බ නේද? එයාලා ගත්ත measure එකක් තමයි මොකක් හරි threshold එකට වඩා වැඩිපුර ගන්නව නම් wholesalers ට rebates දෙනවා, discounts දෙනවා. discounts දෙද්දී අපේ මොකක් වෙනවද? revenue එක අඩු වෙනවා. cost of sales එහෙමම තියෙනවා, revenue එක අඩු වෙනවා. ඒකේ impact එක කොතනින්ද reflect වෙන්නේ? gross profit margin එක. එහෙනම් gross profit margin එක අඩු වෙන්න හේතුව තමයි rebates දීපු එක. right? wholesalers ට discounts දීපු එක. This is how you need to critically analyze. Which will have increased sales at the expense of profitability. The replacement of some production lines by bought-in products will probably also have reduced profit margin. Sales may have been increased by the advertising campaign. Right? Sales advertising campaign එක නිසා වැඩි වෙලා තියෙන පුළුවන්. අර measures බලන්න link කරලා තියෙන විදිය. Right? So these are the three measures: advertising campaign එකයි, rebates දීපු එකයි, plant එක sell කරපු එකයි. මේ තුන link කරලා තියෙනවා. But this has been an additional expenses charged against net profit. Advertising බලන්න මෙතන net profit margin එකත් අඩු වෙලා. See, net profit margin also has gone down. This is due to what? Maybe due to the advertising campaign. Advertising කරනවා කියලා කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? ඒක expense එකක්. ඒ expense එක නිසා මොකක් වෙලාද? sales වැඩි වෙන්නේ නැති. අනිත් පැත්තේ මොකක් වෙලාද? net profit එක අඩු වෙනවා. Right? But this has been additional expenses charged against net profit. It looks as if management have sought to boost revenue by any available means. The plant disposal has served to mask the effect on profits. Right? Then it is talking about the liquidity. Western PLC's liquidity has also declined. See the liquidity from 1.6 to 1.27, it has declined. The current ratio has gone down from 1.6 to 1.3. However, there has also been a sharp decline in the inventory holding period, probably due to holding less raw materials for production. Right here, see the third point, the assembly of certain lines ceased. Right. Assembly of certain lines ceased and was replaced by bought in completed products. Again, then raw materials very again completed products. ඒක නිසා තමයි අපේ inventory holding periods අඩු වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. It could be that the finished goods can be delivered direct to the wholesalers from suppliers. අපි completed products තමයි දැන් ගෙන්නන්නේ. ඒක නිසා අපිට ඒවා ආයේ මොකද manufacturing process එකේ තියාගෙන යන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. අපිට ඉක්මනට ඒවා suppliers ට අපිට ඉක්මනට ඒවා wholesalers ට නැත්නම් retail customers ට deliver කරන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට inventory holding period එක අඩුයි. අඩු වෙච්ච එකට හේතුව. This will have served to reduce the current ratio. Inventory අඩුයි කියලා කියන්නේ මොකක් අඩුයිද? Current assets අඩු වෙනවා. Current assets අඩු වෙනවා කියලා කියන්නේ current ratio එක අඩු වෙනවා. See here, current assets අඩු වෙනවා. Numerator is getting decreased. Means the ratio goes down. Okay. The receivables collection period has remained fairly constant, but the payables payment period has gone down by 10 days. It looks as if in return from delivery, the finished goods supplier demands prompt payment. Right. Suppliers දැන් අපි inventory manufacturing process එකට වැඩි කාලයක් ගන්න නැති නිසා අපි ගාව completed products තියෙන නිසා අපි ඉක්මනට ඒ suppliers ට දෙනවා. ඒක නිසා යාලා අපි ඉක්මනට payment එකත් බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. That is why our payment period has gone down. This fall in the payables period will have served to improve the current ratio. අපි ණය හිමියන්ට මේ ratio එක total payable payment period එක අඩු වෙනවා කියලා කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? What do you mean by that? We are paying, right? We are paying quickly to the trade payables. අපේ ණය හිමියන්ට අපි ඉක්මනට ගෙවනවා. ණය හිමියන්ට ඉක්මනට ගෙවනවා කියලා කියන්නේ ණය හිමි ශේෂය මොකක් වෙනවද? අඩු වෙනවා. ණය හිමි අඩු වෙනවා කියලා කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? Current liabilities අඩු වෙනවා. Right? Current liabilities අඩු වෙනවා. Improve the current. We do not have details of cash balances last year, but reactively currently also no cash in the bank and 10,000 rupees overdraft. Without the 120,000 from sale of plant, the liquidity situation would obviously have been much worse. Eතකොට liquidity එකටත් මොකක් බලපානවද? plant එක අපි dispose කරනවා. Plant එක dispose කරලා කීයක් ලැබිලාද? 1,20,000ක් ලැබිලා. ඔය 1,20,000 හැම අවුරුද්දෙම සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ලැබි යන්නේ නැද්ද? නෑ. ඒක මේ අවුරුද්දට විතරක් විශේෂිත වෙච්ච සිදුවීමක්. It is a specific moment, specific situation, specific transaction. Therefore, that also needs to be considered when assessing the stuff, right? When analyzing, that also needs to be kept in mind. The dividend yield has increased from 3.75% to 6%, which looks good. Now they have come to the investment ratios, right? Dividend yield has improved, which looks good as far as potential investors are concerned, right? See එක shares ගත්තොතින් අපිට අවුරුද්දට dividends 6ක හම්බ වෙනවා, right? But we are told that the dividend amount is the same as last year. Additional information වල කියලා තියෙනවා dividend amount එක සමානයි 2018 90,000යි 2019 90,000. As there have been no share issues, this means that the dividend per share is same as last year. Dividend per share වෙනස් වෙනවද? See here. Dividend yield, how we have taken it? Dividend per share divided by share price. Dividend per share 2018 වලත් එකයි 2019 වලත් එකයි. එහෙනම් මෙයා වැඩි වෙලා තියෙන්නේ මොකක් නිසාද? share price එක. See here, compared to 2019, in 2019 dividend, 2018, in 2019 the dividend yield has improved. 2018 අවුරුද්දට සාපේක්ෂව 2019 අවුරුද්දේ dividend yield එක වැඩි වෙලා. මේ percentage එක වැඩි වෙලා. අපි දන්නවා මොකද්ද? dividend ගිය අවුරුද්දේ මේ අවුරුද්දේ දෙකේම එකම amount එක. ආය අනිත් එක මොකද්ද? අපි shares අලුතෙන් නිකුත් කරලවත් share redemption එකක් කරලවත් නැහැ. ඒ කියන්නේ dividend per share 2018 0.225යි 2019 0.225යි. Numerator has not been changed. එහෙනම් මෙයා වැඩි වෙන්නේ මොකක් නිසාද? තනිකරම share price එකේ අඩුවීම නිසා. share price එකේ අඩුවීම නිසා. share price එක අඩු වෙන එක හොඳද නැද්ද? It is not so good. Right? Therefore, the increase in dividend yield can only have come about through a fall in the share price. The market is not that impressed by Western PLC's results. Right? The market is not impressed. At the same time, dividend cover has declined. So the same dividend has been paid on less profit. Same dividend has been paid on less profit. Last year dividend cover was 2.0, so profit must have been 180,000. They have computed the profit as well. Management decided it was important to maintain the dividend, but this was not sufficient to hold the share price up. To conclude, the final conclusion. To conclude, we can say that Western PLC's position and performance is what? Down. This final conclusion you need to specifically mention. Have they improved or not? If they have improved, in which areas? Right? If they are not performing so well in certain aspects, right, you need to sum it up. Western PLC's position and performance is down on the previous year and any apparent improvement is due to the disposal of plant. ROCE වැඩි වෙලා තියෙන්නේ, right? ආයි මොනවද? Right? Margin වල වෙන net assets turnover වැඩි වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. Right? This is due to what? The disposal of plant. So that is how you need to, right, draft the report. It should be analytical, not just mentioning the figures. ROCE 2018 28.1, 2019 32.35, right? Not just mentioning figures, but analyzing it. You need to be analytical. Okay, this has improved, and this may be the reason. But maybe this due to this reason. This has increased. This has decreased, and it is possible due to this. Right. So you need to be analytical when writing this report.